Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtasaraswati Śrimad Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtasaraswati Śrimad Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kuni Giri Govardhana Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Dwarka Dham Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktavrinda Ki Jai. Gaur Brahmanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Jai Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Vishnu Hare Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Deve Guruvai Pracharane Nirvishesha Sanyavari Pasa today's time. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Hare Krishna and good morning from Iskcon, Hong Kong. I'm Sravaniya Dasi, and we are reading from Śrimad Bhagāvatam, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 17. Thank you for joining us.
今日我哋繼續閱讀聖典《法華壇》第一篇第8章第17節。
Today's topic is prayers by Queen Kunti. This is one of my favorites in the Śrimad Bhagāvatam.
咁我哋今日講嘅題目咧就係昆池皇后嘅禱文，亦都係我最喜愛嘅題目之一。
Lord Krishna lists the virtues of women in Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 10, Text 34.
咁咧就Krishna 咧就喺《博伽梵歌》第10篇嘅第34節嗰度咧就描述到咧係列出咧女性嘅美德。
He said, "Among women I am fame, fortune, speech, memory, intelligence, faithfulness, and patience."
咁佢就講啦，喺女性當中咧，我係名望、幸運、記憶、智力、堅定、耐心和動聽嘅話語。
Kunti Devi, the mother of Arjuna and his brothers, exhibited all of these qualities.
咁而 Kunti Devi 咧，即係 Arjuna 嘅同埋佢嘅兄弟嘅媽媽咧，就係咧展示晒所有呢啲良好嘅品質。
To hear her pure devotional feelings of love for Krishna expressed to him in this chapter is uplifting and inspiring to anyone who hears them.
咁去聆聽咧，佢呢啲充滿奉愛嘅去表達對 Krishna 嘅愛嘅情感咧，係喺一章入邊咧係會提升我哋啦，亦都係非常對任何一個聆聽人嚟講咧都係非常之有啟發性。
And they are well worth memorizing.
咁而佢哋咧亦都係值得我哋去記憶嘅。
Here's verse 17. Brahma Tejo Vinirmuktair Brahma Tejo Vinirmuktair Atmajai Saha Krishnaya Atmajai Saha Krishnaya Prayana Bhimukam Krishnam Prayana Bhimukam Krishnam Idam Aha Prita Sati Idam aha prita sati Idam aha prita sati Brahma tejo vinirmuktar Atmajaya Saha Krishnaya
Atmajaya Saha Krishnaya
Prayana Bhimukam Krishnam
Prayana Mukam Krishnam
Idam Aha Pratasati
Idam Aha Prita Sati
Brahma Tejo Vinirmuktair
Brahma Tejo Vinimutta
Atmajaya Saha Krishnaya
Atmajaya Saha Krishnaya
Prayana Bhimukam Krishnam
Pranaya Vimukam Krishnam
Idam Aha Pratasati.
Idam Aha Prita Sati.
Okay. So we'll do word for word translation. Brahmateja,
Brahmateja
the radiation of the Brahmastra.
Brahmastra 的輻射
Vinirmuktai,
Vinimuttai
being saved from.
being saved from 從被救出
Atmajai,
Atmajai
along with her sons.
和他的兒子一起
Saha,
Saha
with.
with 和起一起
Krishnaya,
Krishnaya
Draupadi.
Draupadi
Prayana,
Pranaya
or Prayana,
Prayana
outgoing.
outgoing 出發
Abhimukam,
Abhimuktam
towards.
towards 朝向
Krishnam,
Krishnam
unto Lord Krishna.
until Lord Krishna 向主 Krishna
Idam,
idam
this.
這
Aha,
aha
said.
said 說
Prita,
Prita
Kunti.
Kunti
Sati,
Sati
chaste, devoted to the Lord.
chaste devoted to the Lord 貞潔的獻身於侍奉至尊主
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
就係
Thus, saved from the radiation of the Brahmastra, Kunti, the chaste devotee of the Lord, and her 5 sons and Draupadi addressed Lord Krishna as he started for home.
譯文從 Brahmastra 輻射線造成嘅威脅中被救出後，至尊主忠貞嘅奉獻者 Kunti 以及他的5個兒子和 Draupadi 都在至尊主啟程回府時對他傾吐各自嘅心聲。
Purport. Kunti is described herein as sati, or chaste, due to her unalloyed devotion to Lord Sri Krishna. Her mind will now be expressed in following prayers for Lord Krishna. A chaste devotee of the Lord does not look to others, namely any other living being or demigod, even for the deliverance from danger. That was all along the characteristic of the whole family of the Pandavas. They knew nothing except Krishna, and therefore the Lord was also always ready to help them in all respects and in all circumstances. That is the transcendental nature of the Lord. He reciprocates the dependence of the devotee. One should not, therefore, look for help from imperfect living beings or demigods, but one should look for all help from Lord Krishna, who is competent to save his devotees. Such a chaste devotee also never asks the Lord for help, but the Lord, out of his own accord, is always anxious to render it.
要指 Kunti 對 Sri Krishna 忠誠熱愛，所以在這次詩中被稱為忠貞的 Sati。他將在下面向主 Krishna 祈禱時表達他的心聲。在遇到危險時，至尊主忠貞嘅奉獻者只會向至尊主求救，而不會去找其他生物體或半神人。這始終是潘特華全家嘅獨特之處。他們嘅心中只有 Krishna， 他們只託庇於 Krishna。正因為如此 ，Krishna 也總是在所有嘅方面、所有嘅情況下幫助他們，也就是至尊主嘅超然本性。他根據奉獻者對他的依靠程度給予相應嘅回應，所以人不該尋求半神人或其他不完美嘅生物體嘅幫助，而應該向有能力拯救他嘅奉獻者嘅主 Krishna 尋求所有嘅幫助。即使忠貞嘅奉獻者從不要求至尊主嘅幫助，至尊主還是出於他自己嘅意願，永遠渴望幫助他的奉獻者。
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I'd like to talk about prayers of glorification, not supplication.
咁樣我想咧就係討論咧就係呢一個榮耀嘅禱文，但係就唔係一個乞求嘅禱文。
Okay, so supplication means the action of asking or begging for something.
咁咧乞求嘅意思就話我哋咧係去問啦，或者係乞討一啲嘢。
So, in a lecture in New Vrindavan in June 1969, Srila Prabhupada said, if one being distressed approaches Krishna, that, my Lord, I am in distress, please help me, the qualification is good in this sense that he somehow or other has approached God, but his motive is not pure. His motive is material enjoyment.
咁呢個咧就係聖巴巴1969年6月嘅時候咧喺 New Vrindavan 所講嘅一堂課嘅節錄啦。咁如果一個人咧佢係好痛苦嘅時候去尋找去揾 Krishna 啦，跟住就同 Krishna 講：我嘅主啊，我而家好痛苦，請求你幫我。咁呢個咧呢一個品質係好嘅，因為咧某程度上咧佢都係去尋找至尊主，但係咧佢個動機咧並唔係純粹，佢動機咧係為咗得到一啲物質嘅享受。
On the platform of pure devotion, we don't have to ask God for anything. He knows what we need and want.
咁喺呢個純粹奉愛嘅層面嗰度咧，我哋唔需要咧係向至尊主咧係請求一啲得到一啲嘢嘅，因為咧佢知道咧我哋需要啲乜嘢同埋想得到啲乜嘢。
It is best for the devotee to praise the Lord with gratitude in all circumstances, with the attitude of Thy will be done.
咁所以咧最理想嘅情況就係奉獻者能夠係去讚美至尊主啦，就係用一個好感恩嘅態度，無論喺任何情況之下，都係去讚美至尊主，就話咧佢就會成就一切。
Krishna has a plan, and a pure devotee is with it, whatever it may be, for as we can see from the narrations of this sacred scripture, everything Krishna does is good for everyone all the time.
所以咧 ，Krishna 佢有佢自己嘅計劃啦，而作為一個純粹奉獻者咧，佢都知道無論係咩呢個計劃係咩都好啦，我哋都會睇到咧喺呢啲咁神聖嘅經典入邊所描述嘅 Krishna 所做嘅每一樣嘢咧，對每一個人咧喺任何時間咧都係好嘅。
No other demigod, not even Lord Brahma, can help one without the grace of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
咁冇一個半神人，甚至咧係主 Brahma 咧，能夠咧係如果冇 Krishna 嘅恩典 ，Krishna 至尊人格手上嘅恩典咧，係都冇能力咧去幫助任何一個人。
Even Brahma, the chief operating officer of this universe, is dependent upon him, and what to speak of others.
咁就算係呢一個宇宙嘅最嘅主管啊嘅主 Brahma 啦，都係咧完全係依靠至尊主嘅，唔好話其他生物體。
In this chapter, text 37 purport, Srila Prabhupada gives this explanation. The perfection of life, therefore, is to become dependent on the will of the Lord, instead of becoming falsely independent in the material world. Those who try to become falsely independent of the Lord are called anatta, or without any guardian, whereas those who are completely dependent on the will of the Lord are called sanata, or those who having someone to protect them.
咁所以咧喺呢一章第37節詩嘅要旨入邊咧，聖巴巴就咁樣講啦。嗰啲因此生命嘅完美咧係於順從至尊主嘅意願，而唔係喺物質世界裏嘅虛假獨立。嗰啲努力不依靠至尊主嘅人，被稱為 anatta， 不受保護的人；而完全順從至尊主意願的人，被稱為 sanata， 有人保護嘅人。
Therefore, we must try to be sanata, so that we can always be protected from the unfavorable condition of material existence.
所以我哋必須努力咧成為 sanata， 以便咧喺物質存在嘅不利情況之下，始終能夠受到保護。
By the deluding power of the external material nature, we forget that the material condition of life is the most undesirable perplexity.
物質自然嘅迷惑作用係令到我哋咧忘記咗物質存在嘅環境係最差、最混亂嘅。
The word perplexity means I don't understand it and I don't know what to do.
咁我哋話呢個perplexity 呢個字嘅意思，痛苦呢個混亂嘅意思咧，就即係話咧，我哋唔明白咧，亦都唔知道點樣去做。
Prabhupada goes on, the Bhagavad Gita therefore directs us in chapter 7, text 19, that after many, many births, one fortunate person becomes aware of the fact that Vasudeva, Krishna, is all in all, and that the best way of leading one's life is to surrender unto him completely. That is a sign of a Mahatma.
因此，國家梵歌第7章第19節詩給我哋指明咗方向。詩中說，經過許許多多次生死後，幸運嘅人認識到真相，那就是 Vasudeva Krishna 係一切，徹底投靠他是最佳嘅生活方法。偉大嘅靈魂 Mahatma 就是這樣做。
It seems clear that Srimati Kunti Devi proved herself to be a Mahatma, although in all humility she would never consider herself to be such.
咁呢度好明顯就睇到啦 ，Srimati Kunti Devi 咧，其實係證明咗自己就係一個馬哈馬，一個偉大嘅奉獻者。雖然咧佢係因為佢係非常之謙卑啦，佢永遠都唔會覺得自己係。
By her dependence on Krishna, she had achieved the perfection of life.
咁咧通過係因為佢完全依靠 Krishna 啦，所以佢咧達到人生嘅完美。
Okay, so surrender and dependence don't mean that you lay on the bed and wait for Krishna to do everything.
咁咧，我哋話我哋臣服啦，我哋依靠至尊主咧，就唔係話我哋瞓喺張床度乜都唔做就至尊主你做晒所有嘢，唔係咁樣。
Surrender to Krishna means to stop disagreeing with him.
咁咧，我哋話臣服嘅至尊主嘅意思就係即係話我哋咧係停止咧係反對 Krishna 嘅安排。
And we're going to explain in detail what dependence on Krishna actually means.
咁我遲啲就會再解釋究竟我哋完全依靠 Krishna 其實嘅意思係乜嘢咧？
Now, in my book that I wrote, Pathway Through the Forest, I pointed out a few pure devotees of Krishna who have faced piles of trials with smiles.
咁我喺我寫嗰本書咧，就係通過森林嘅路途呢本書入邊咧，我就指出咧係有幾個咧係純粹嘅奉獻Krishna 純粹嘅奉獻者咧，佢哋咧當我哋面對困境嘅時候咧，都係帶住微笑。
So let's have a look at Kunti Devi. I think about her every day. She encountered so many misfortunes.
咁我哋可以睇下 Kunti Devi 啦，我咧就每日都會冥想住佢，因為咧佢遇到咧係非常非常之多嘅不幸。
When Krishna was leaving after the battle of Kurukshetra, she was face to face with him, and she said, "O Rishikesh, master of the senses and lord of lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers."
咁咧喺呢一章嘅第23節咧，個譯文就係咁啦。Rishikesh 感官之主，所有主人嘅主人，你解放了你母親 Devaki， 她曾被邪惡嘅 Kamsa 王長期關壓，過着痛苦嘅生活。你也拯救了我和我的孩子，使我們脱離了一連串嘅危險。
My dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashvatthama. 咁呢個係第24節啦，親愛嘅 Krishna 主啊，你把我們從下毒嘅糕餅、熊熊烈火、食人生番、邪惡嘅家族聚會、苦難重重嘅森林流亡中生活，以及顯武將相殺戮嘅戰場中救下。現在你再次搭救我們，使我們免遭 Brahmastra 武器嘅傷害。So there she was, face to face with God, and what did she say to him? 喺當時咧，官慈係面對面咁對住至尊主啦。咁佢同佢講啲乜嘢咧 ？Did she say, "Why are you doing this to me?" 佢係咪話點解你要咁樣對我咧 No, she didn't.
佢冇咁樣做。
Now, this reminds me of an aria, Vici d'arte, from Puccini's Italian opera Tosca, where she's praying to God and saying, "Why are you doing this to me?"
咁咧呢個令到我諗起一個意大利嘅歌劇 Tosca 啦。咁當時呢個女主角 Vici 唔識 ，I don't know how to pronounce。
Vici d'arte。Vici
d'arte。咁咧就係喺呢個歌劇入邊咧，佢咧就向主祈禱啊。咁佢就講啦，點解你要咁樣？你點解你要對我要咁樣對我咧？
It's a fabulous, famous song performed by Maria Callas, and you can find it on YouTube.
咁呢首歌咧就非常之好美妙嘅，同埋非常出名嘅歌咧，就係由 Maria Callas 所唱嘅。
Now, in the opera, the beautiful Tosca was a famous soprano singer who was lamenting that her lover had been arrested and was being tortured by the state police.
咁喺呢個歌劇入邊咧，呢一個咁漂亮嘅 Tosca 咧，佢係一個好出名嘅 soprano 嘅歌唱家啦。佢當時咧就係因為佢嘅愛人咧係被警察捉咗，同埋係被呢個警察折磨咧，而非常之傷心。
Now, part of her occupation was to sing in the church.
咁而佢職業咧就係喺呢個教堂入邊咧係唱歌。
During the ceremonies.
咁就喺呢個儀式嗰度咧係領唱嘅。
Okay, so here's the English translation of this song.
咁我哋會讀一讀呢首歌嘅英文翻譯。
Tosca said, "I lived for my art, I lived for love. I never did harm to a living soul."
咁咧，我咧係為咗藝術而生存啦，我為咗愛而生存啦，我從來冇對任何一個生物體咧係做過任何嘅傷害。
With a secret hand, I relieved as many misfortunes as I knew of. Now, what this means is she gave charity to people and did it anonymously without them knowing.
咁咧通過一個神秘嘅手啦，我咧係拯救咗好多咧其他人嘅不幸，即係話咧佢做咗好多嘅布施。
Always with true faith, my prayer rose to the holy shrines. Always with true faith, I gave flowers to the altar.
咁咧充滿咗呢個真正嘅信心啦，我咧係向呢一個神聖嘅神壇嗰度咧祈禱，充滿咗絕對嘅信心，我亦都咧向呢個神壇獻上鮮花。
In the hour of grief, why, O Lord, why do you reward me thus?
咁咧喺呢個充滿傷心嘅時刻，神啊，點解你要咁樣嚟到係對我咧？
I gave jewels for the Madonna's mantle, and I gave my song to the stars, to heaven, which smiled with more beauty.
我咧將為呢個 Madonna 嘅神壇咧獻上呢個珠寶啦，我亦都將我嘅歌咧係唱俾呢一個星星啦、天堂度聲，亦去聆聽啦，亦都係充滿咗微笑同埋美麗。
In the hour of grief, why, O Lord, why do you reward me thus?
喺呢個充滿傷感嘅時刻，點解主啊，你要咁樣對我咧
？This is the difference between a pure devotee of the Lord and somebody who is worshiping God to get things.
呢個咧係一個純粹至尊主嘅奉獻者，同埋一個係去崇拜神，係個目的係想得到啲嘢嘅分別。
Trying to get things. It's my insurance policy. If I pray to God, nothing bad will happen to me.
咁咧啲人就會話啦，呢個我嘅其實係個保單嚟嘅。如果我向神祈禱咧，冇一啲我就唔會冇一樣唔好嘅嘢就發生喺我身上。
Yeah? No. To understand pure devotion, one need only hear what Kunti Devi said in verse 25 and 26.
咁如果我哋想知道咧咩係真正純粹嘅奉愛咧，我哋就要聽一聽咧觀節皇后喺第25同埋26節詩入邊所講嘅嘢。
Here's Kunti's prayer to God. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, so that we could see you again and again. For seeing you means we will no longer see repeated births and deaths.
咁呢個係觀節皇后對 Krishna 嘅呢個禱文啦，第25節，我願所有那些災難能一再到來，好讓我們能一次又一次地見到你，因為見到你意味着我們不用再面對生死輪迴。
There's a world of difference between those two prayers.
咁咧呢兩種唔同人嘅祈禱咧係完全咧係有天淵之別。
Because one is in the material world and the other is in the spiritual world.
因為咧其中一個係喺呢個物質世界咧，而另外一個咧喺呢個靈性世界當中。
She goes on, Kunti prayed, "My Lord, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling."
咁跟住觀節皇后繼續講啦，第26節，我嘅主啊，儘管你平易近人，但只有徹底厭棄物質主義嘅人才會接近你。那些正在物質旅途上奮力向前，知道憑尊貴嘅出身、萬貫家財、高等教育和美麗嘅外貌，在社會上出人頭地嘅人，不會誠心誠意地接近你。
Love of Godhead is not a business.
咁我哋對神嘅愛咧，唔係一個交易嚟嘅。
Later in this chapter, in text 29 purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, "Foolish people think that devotional service is flattering the Lord to get special mercy."
咁咧，跟住之後咧，喺第29節詩嘅要旨入邊咧，聖帕巴就咁樣講啦。愚蠢嘅人認為咧，做奉愛服務就係向至尊主獻媚邀寵。
Factually, the pure devotees who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord are not a mercantile community. A mercantile house renders service to someone in exchange for values. The pure devotee does not render service unto the Lord for such exchange, and therefore the full mercy of the Lord is open for him.
事實上，為至尊主做超然愛心服務嘅純粹奉獻者們，並非一群生意人。商業機構為客人提供服務以換取利潤，純粹嘅奉獻者侍奉至尊主，卻不是為了做這種交易。正因為如此，至尊主把全部嘅仁慈都賜給他們。
So here are a few points that stood out to me as I read the whole chapter 8.
咁所以咧，當我讀第8讀完成篇第8章嘅時候咧，我就有呢幾個想法。
This is from verse 18 purport. Kunti herself was puzzled about whether Sri Krishna is all-pervasive or localized. In fact, he's both, but he reserves the right of not being exposed to persons who are not surrendered souls. This checkered curtain is called the Maya energy of the Supreme Lord, and it controls the limited vision of the rebellious soul.
咁呢個係第18節嘅要旨啦。觀自本人對 Sri Krishna 係無所不在，還是處在局部區域這一點感到迷惑。事實上，他兩者都是，但他不像那些不歸依他的人揭示自己，他保留這個權利。這層遮蔽他的帳幕就是至尊主嘅錯覺能量，稱為 Maya。
Those engaged in Vedic study, sacrifices, charity, philosophical speculation may understand the Supreme as the light of Brahman or the four-handed Vishnu within the heart, but the two-handed form of Krishna is especially reserved for souls purified by bhakti, the topmost yoga.
咁嗰啲從事呢一個研讀偉大經典啦，一啲嘅祭祀啦，布施啦，哲學嘅辯論啦，佢哋咧只係咧能夠明白咧呢個至尊主咧就係呢一個梵光，或者咧係住喺心入邊嘅四臂嘅 Vishnu， 但係咧兩臂形象嘅 Krishna 咧，只係咧係會俾呢一個心入邊有純粹奉愛嘅靈魂咧，呢個係瑜伽嘅最高境界嘅人睇到。
Others are more or less blocked from perceiving him.
咁其他人咧係唔會睇到呢個形象嘅。
So it's commonly understood by common people that anybody who has heard of Krishna thinks that he is an incarnation of Vishnu.
咁所以咧，對一般普通人嚟講咧，當佢哋聽到 Krishna 嘅時候咧，佢哋就會以為咧或者認為咧 Krishna 咧就係主 Vishnu 嘅一個化身。
No, but according to Bhagavad Vedanta, Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, and Vishnu is his official presentation dealing with the material world.
咁但係其實喺經典入邊講到咧 ，Krishna 咧係最原本嘅源頭啦，而 Vishnu 咧就係一個正式嘅 Krishna 嘅一個代表。
Vishnu is Krishna at the office.
咁咧 Vishnu 咧就係 Krishna 喺辦公室嘅Krishna。
Yeah, Krishna is when he's at home with his friends.
咁咧就係當 Krishna 咧就係佢嘅形象咧就係當佢返到屋企嘅時候。
Anyway, that's my take. Now here's another takeaway from verse 19 purport. But it is not possible to know the Supreme Person by imperfect experimental knowledge. He is described herein as adhokshaja, or beyond the range of experimental knowledge.
咁而喺第19章嘅要旨入邊咧，呢度講到啦，靠不完美嘅實驗性知識，不可能了解至尊人。他在這次詩中被描述為係超越實驗性知識嘅範疇 ，adhokshaja。
Adhokshaja means you can't figure him out.
咁咧呢個字嘅意思就即係話咧，你冇辦法能夠咧係明白解釋到佢。
Yeah. Okay. One can only know Krishna when he reveals himself.
咁一個人咧，只係能夠咧通過 Krishna 去展示佢自己咧嚟到去明白 Krishna。
Finally, this statement from Srila Prabhupada from verse 20 purport: Women in general are unable to speculate like philosophers, but they are blessed by the Lord because they believe at once in the superiority and almightiness of the Lord, and thus they offer obeisances without reservation. The Lord is so kind that he does not show special favor only to one who is a great philosopher. He knows the sincerity of purpose. For this reason only, women generally assemble in great number in any sort of religious function. In every country and in every sect of religion, it appears that the women are more interested than the men. This simplicity of acceptance of the Lord's authority is more effective than showy, insincere religious fervor.
咁就呢個係第20節嘅要旨啦。婦女通常冇能力向哲學家咁樣去思索，但他們因為立刻就相信至尊主嘅至高無上性和全能，毫不猶豫地向至尊主致敬，所以得到了至尊主嘅祝福。至尊主極為仁慈，他並不是只對偉大嘅哲學家才施以特殊嘅恩典，他還看人們嘅目的是否真誠。正因為如此，在任何宗教活動中，通常都能看到有大量嘅婦女參加。在每一個國家嘅每一個宗教團體中都可以看到，婦女比男人對宗教更感興趣，因單純而容易接受至尊主嘅權威，比炫耀偽善嘅宗教熱情更有效。
So when Prabhupada writes, women in general are unable to speculate like philosophers, he means to say that most women are unable to speculate. That doesn't mean all women.
咁喺度咧，聖爸爸講咧，婦女通常都冇能力咧，好似哲學家咁樣咧去思索嘅，但係咧並唔係話所有嘅婦女都唔得。
There are a few who can figure it out.
咁咧就有一啲嘅婦女咧係可以做得到嘅。
Okay, so depending on God, this is a main subject of today's verse. So from today's purport, the Pandavas knew nothing except Krishna, and therefore the Lord was also always ready to help them in all respects and in all circumstances. That is the transcendental nature of the Lord. He reciprocates the dependence of the devotee.
咁咧就今日嘅要旨就講到啦，呢個 Pandavas 佢哋咧正係認識 Krishna，咁所以咧 Krishna 亦都咧係隨時準備好咧去係喺任何情況、任何方面咧都會幫助佢哋。呢個咧就係至尊主嘅超然嘅本質，佢咧會對奉獻者嘅依靠咧係會回應佢哋。
Now, we should not mistake this reference to dependence to mean lazy inertia, expecting the Lord to do everything for them himself.
咁咧，但係我哋咧唔可以搞錯咗，即係話咧我哋去依靠至尊主嘅意思就係話咧，我哋乜都變得係懶惰咯，我哋乜都唔需要做，至尊主為我哋做晒所有嘢。
The Pandavas did not sit back and say, "Let's see what happens."
咁咧Pandavas 五兄弟佢哋並唔係咧就咁坐喺度就話睇下會咪發生啲乜嘢。
No, Arjuna and his brothers were always busy, whether practicing martial arts or making plans, sending messages, protecting citizens, providing for their wife and mother, fulfilling their duties, etc., etc.
咁咧 Pandavas 佢哋咧永遠都係非常之忙碌嘅，佢哋咧一係咧就喺度練習呢一個打仗啦，或者咧係作出一啲計劃啦，或者係發出一啲嘅信息啦，保護佢嘅子民啦，亦都係提供向佢太太同埋媽媽咧提供佢哋嘅需要啦，係去完成佢哋嘅職責等等。
As the eldest brother, Yudhishthira was known for his adherence to Dharma and righteousness, often acting as the leader and moral compass of the Pandavas.
咁咧作為呢一個長子啦 Yudhishthira 咧就係以佢嚴格遵守呢個宗教原則咧，同埋正義咧而係出名嘅。Bhima 亦都係咧係作為呢個 Pandavas 嘅領袖。
Bhima, the second brother, was famous for his immense strength and unwavering loyalty. He often handled the more physically demanding tasks and was known for his fierce determination. 咁而
Bhima 咧第二個兒子啦，佢咧就係以佢嘅力量啦，同埋咧係完全堅定不移嘅忠心咧係而出名嘅。佢好多時咧就會做一啲非常之吃力嘅體力嘅工作啦，咁亦都咧係以佢嘅決心咧而係變得係非常之出名。
Arjuna was the greatest archer, possessing both exceptional skills and a contemplative nature. He was very close to Krishna.
咁而Arjuna咧就係一個最偉大嘅弓箭手啦，亦都係擁有咧係非凡嘅呢個嘅技術啦，同埋咧亦都係非常之沉實嘅本質。佢係非常之同 Krishna 咧係非常之親近。
The younger brothers, Nakula and Sahadev, were known for their loyalty, wisdom, and strategic thinking.
咁而最年輕嘅兩個兄弟啦 ，Nakula 啦同埋 Sahadev 咧，就係佢哋係非常之忠心啦，充滿咗智慧啦，亦都係個思想咧，亦都係非常之有策略性。
The Pandava brothers were an active team. Their dependence consisted of always deferring to the plan of Lord Krishna, no matter what their personal intentions may have been.
咁所以 Pandavas 五兄弟咧，佢哋係一個非常活躍嘅一個嘅團隊啦。佢哋咧亦都係完全咧就係依靠 Krishna 嘅計劃，無論咧佢哋自己有啲咩嘅行為都好。
Okay, now here's an important statement by Srila Prabhupada, and he said this in a lecture. Depending on Krishna means to act always in Krishna consciousness, realizing that Krishna is the ultimate controller of all results. That's not in the notes. Not in the notes.
Oh, okay. Can you repeat?
I'll repeat it. Depending on Krishna means to act always in Krishna consciousness, realizing that Krishna is the controller of all results.
咁我哋話我哋依賴 Krishna 咧，即係話咧，我哋要完全咧係接受 Krishna 為我哋安排啦，同埋你都絕對明白咧，就係 Krishna 咧係呢個至尊嘅控制者同埋擁有者。
So the result is up to Krishna, but the work is up to me.
咁而結果咧，我哋將個結果咧就係交俾 Krishna 啦，但我哋做嘅嘢咧就係我哋自己要去做。
Now, this is in a letter to a devotee in September 1969.
咁喺1969年，正爸爸咧寫俾一個奉獻者嘅信入邊。
Yudhishthira was meant to be the ruler from the start, but the clever Duryodhana and his party cunningly usurped the kingdom.
咁咧，本來咧呢一個皇位咧係應該咧由 Yudhishthira 去繼承啦。咁但係呢個聰明嘅 Duryodhana 咧同埋佢嘅團隊咧就好狡猾咁樣咧係篡奪咗呢一個嘅王國。
In verse 32 purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, "When there is a pious king ruling over the world, the people are happy. When the ruler is impious, the people are unhappy. In the age of Kali, in most cases, the rulers are impious, and therefore the citizens are also continuously unhappy. But in the case of democracy, the impious citizens themselves elect their representative to rule over them, and therefore they cannot blame anyone for their unhappiness.
虔誠咁咧，呢個係第32節嘅要旨啦。咁虔誠嘅君王咧，當政時，人民就會幸福快樂；邪惡嘅君王當政時，人民就會受到苦難。喺卡人年代，大多數統治者都是邪惡的，人民因此一直不快樂。喺民主制度下，不虔誠嘅民眾自己選舉出他們中嘅代表嚟統治他們，所以他們不能為他們嘅不快樂而譴責任何人。
It seems to me that democracy is a system that is doomed to failure, since less intelligent people are always more numerous than the intelligent ones.
咁所以咧，對我嚟講咧，我覺得咧，呢個民主制度咧，注定係失敗嘅，因為咧，聰明嘅人咧，一定係比愚蠢嘅人咧係少。
And as George Washington once said, few men have virtue to withstand the highest bidder. Votes can be bought and sold, and so can politicians.
咁就好似咧 George Washington 佢曾經講過啦，係好少人咧係有呢個美德咧，可以咧係去承受呢個最高嘅投票選票。咁呢啲選票咧係可以買賣嘅，就好似咧啲政客咁樣。
Yep. I'm thinking of a quote by Bob Dylan. Money doesn't talk, it swears.
咁我諗起一首歌就係話 money 錢係唔會講嘢㗎。
Yep. Anyway, conclusion is, for us it appears that true independence means to depend inwardly on the Paramatma, the Supreme Lord situated within the heart.
咁所以對我哋嚟講咧，真正嘅依靠咧嘅意思就係咧，我哋要依靠內在嘅呢個超靈咯，即係話咧係喺我哋心入邊嘅至尊主。
He gives his advice in Bhagavad Gita and through the spiritual master.
咁而至尊主咧係通過博家梵歌同埋靈性導師咧係俾我哋嘅呢一啲嘅教導。
By following the instructions, one becomes more purified in heart, and then he can hear the voice within.
咁通過去跟隨呢一啲嘅教導啦，一個人嘅內心就會得到更淨化，佢都能夠咧係更加能夠聽到呢啲內在嘅聲音。
Lord Sri Krishna gave this advice to Arjuna on the battlefield in chapter 18, texts 57 and 58. Krishna says, "In all activities, just depend on me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me."
咁咧 ，Krishna 喺呢個戰場上面咧，就係向 Arjuna 咧係俾咗呢個忠告。咁呢個係《博家梵歌》第18章嘅57節啦。從事所有嘅活動咧，都只依靠我，永遠在我嘅保護下行事，這樣做奉愛服務，充分意識到我。
And notice that Krishna says, "Depend on me and work."
所以 Krishna 嘅意思就話咧，你要依靠我，然之後咧係去工作。
Yep. He continues, "If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditional life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost."
呢個係《博家梵歌》第18章第58節啦。你如果意識到我，就會靠我嘅恩典跨越受制約嘅生存中所具有嘅一切障礙。但是如果你不懷着這種意識去行事，而憑假我去做事，不聽從我，那你必遭劫難。
Acting through false ego means following the urges of the temporary mind and body.
我哋話咧係聽從呢個假我去做事咧嘅意思就係啦，我哋咧係根據咧我哋短暫嘅心意同埋身體咧嘅趨湧咧而去服從佢哋。
No, we should be following the instructions of the higher self within.
咁我哋咧係應該咧係聽從咧喺我哋內在更加高階嘅自我嘅聲音。
This is the best advice coming from the best friend of all living entities.
咁呢個咧係來自所有生物體最好嘅朋友最好嘅忠告。
Mother Kunti Devi and her sons were outstanding examples of working under Krishna's protection, and we can learn from them.
Kunti 母親啦，同埋佢嘅兒子咧，就係、最好嘅例子啦。俾我哋睇到咧點樣咧係通過 Krishna 嘅保護咧嚟到去行事，而我哋咧亦都係要向佢哋學習。
For anyone who desires to experience the attitude of pure devotion, I highly recommend reading the entire section of Kunti's prayers, verses 18 through 43 of chapter 8, canto 1.
如果個人咧係想去感受咧純粹嘅奉愛嘅態度應該係點咧，我咧係推薦大家咧係閱讀咧係整Kunti 皇后嘅祈禱咁咧就係呢一章嘅第18至43節。
Okay, so that's what I have to share. Are there any questions or thoughts?
大家有冇問題
Yes, Lena.
Yes, thank you. You said one can only know Krishna when he reveals himself. In my situation, I wonder would it be like green lights during the day, during your daily activities? As I do feel it's Krishna that gives me the green light. Green light meaning like unexpected, without any premeditation. Everything is just
Really smooth.
yes.
Yes,
And then
yes,
the
yes,
awareness-
yes.
The awareness is Krishna.
Yeah.
個問題就係咧頭先講到咧就話 Krishna 咧只會向嗰啲唔係向所有人咧都會揭示自己嘅，咁係有陣時我會突然之間覺得所有嘢都非常之順利啦。咁呢個係咪就係 Krishna 向我嘅揭示咧？
This is a really good observation. When I'm doing the right thing, it gets really smooth.
咁咧呢個係一個好嘅觀察啦，就係如果我做一啲啱嘅嘢咧，所有嘢咧都會變得好順利。
Yeah. So you're right about that.
Thank you.
Good one. Anything from you? No? She's busy. All right. Okay. Right. So depending on Krishna means the result is up to him. I do my part. He does his part.
咁咧，我哋話我哋依靠 Krishna 嘅意思就係話咧，我哋將個結果咧係完全咧係交俾 Krishna， 我哋做翻我哋嘅本分，跟住結果咧就由 Krishna 去決定。It's very difficult.
Really?
It's very difficult. I mean, we are always attached to the results, even though we always say we should not. But it's very difficult to be completely detached from the results.
Well, if you say that you're not attached to the result, it'll be easier. I'm becoming more and more detached from the result. That's a good thing to say.
咁咧，我就話係我哋知道我哋要唔依附個結果啦，我哋淨係去做我哋應該做嘅嘢啦。咁但係呢個講就好易啦，但係做係好難嘅，即係有呢個完全嘅心水係非常之困難嘅。咁我哋知就話我哋應該係我哋要講出嚟咯，即係話我哋越唔依附呢個結果。咁如果我哋咁樣講嘅話咧，咁我哋就會慢慢咧就可以做得到啦。
So just say, whatever Krishna wants. Make me a success or failure as you like.
咁咧，所以我哋應該話咧就係無論Krishna 想點樣都好啦，無論係成功或者失敗嘅，呢個都係取決於 Krishna。
If I fail, I'll learn a lesson and I'll do better next time.
咁如果我失敗嘅話咧，我咧就會從中學習啦，我下一次就會做得更加好。
Whatever his plan is, be with it.
咁無論 Krishna 嘅計劃係點都好咧，我哋都要接受。
So watch what you say, because that's what it's going to be.
咁我哋要去我哋講嘢同我哋做嘢要一樣。
I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again.
咁呢個係觀世皇后嘅禱文啦，就希望呢啲苦難咧係一次又一次咁樣再次發生。
So amazing. So amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. Thank you for joining us today. For Iskcon Hong Kong, I'm Sravaniya Dasi. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Hari Hari Bo.
Hari Hari Bol.
Vishnu.